Thanks, Kurt, for the introduction. Happy New Year, everyone. Could 2025 be your best year ever? I think it could, but there is no guarantee. If you do something different, then you can create a better result, and hopefully that better result is the best year ever for you. But if you want to have your best year ever, you have to first commit to becoming your best self. Becoming your best self comes first, and that sequence is key. We often are willing to work really hard and to put in the hours, but just working hard is not going to get us to where we want to go. So in the few minutes that I have, I want to challenge you to plant the right seeds and then to be aware of there's really 4 enemies that could hold you back if you're not aware of them. And then I want you to take action beginning immediately, not tomorrow, not next week, but take action on planting the right seeds beginning immediately. So if you want to make 2025 your best year ever, become the best version of yourself ever. Most people want to be in a different spot. You've started the year off before, haven't you? I know I have. I started the year off and got to the end of the year, and it wasn't much different than it was at the beginning of the year. Now, at the beginning of the year, I wanted the year to go a certain way and to hit certain goals and to transform certain aspects of my business and my life, but it just didn't happen. Has that ever happened to you? See, most people want to be in a different spot, but they're not doing the right things in order to get there. And if this happens repeatedly, it can become very frustrating. It can become discouraging, but it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to discourage you or shrink your dreams. Success is the result of planting and nurturing the right seeds. So it really doesn't matter whether you haven't planted the right seeds before. This is a fresh start for you. The beginning of a year, really the beginning of every day, is a fresh start, a new beginning. But in January, there is this renewed sense of a clean slate, that you can start over, that you can have a do-over, that you can make the year what you want it to be. And that is very possible for you. So success is the result of planting and nurturing the right seeds. And this is why success is not an accident. If you know what you're trying to accomplish, then you trace back from that and determine what seeds that you need to plant. Success, however you define it, is not an accident. This means that what you do today changes tomorrow. The seeds you plant today change what tomorrow looks like. If you're not experiencing the results you desire, you need to acknowledge that you haven't been planting the right seeds, or you haven't been planting enough of the right seeds. It could be either scenario. If you're not experiencing the results you desire, acknowledge this, and then think of your seeds like this. The seeds are thoughts, their words, their actions, their reactions. Tomorrow changes today. January changes February. Q1 changes Q2. Q3 changes Q4, and so on. The seeds you plant today determine the fruits you experience tomorrow. So if you're wanting and desiring and intending, and most importantly, if you're committed to making 2025 your best year ever, then you need to clarify what success looks like for you, and then what seeds you ought to be planting immediately in order to get the results that you want. And these seeds could include deliberately upgrading your skills. So new skills are a type of seed. New habits, better habits, personality traits. Your personality isn't permanent. You can change aspects of your personality. You can change your character. So upgrading your skills, that's a form of seeds. Your habits, your personality, your character, your relationships, your beliefs and mindset, all of those represent seeds that you can change, seeds that you can plant, seeds that you have no limit on how many of them that you plant. But if these elements stay the same, in other words, you're living 2025 with the same beliefs, the same skills, the same habits, the same traits, the same relationships as you did in 2024 and 23 and 22 and 21 and so on, you're just going to have a repeat of the same types of years that you had. It may be decent, it may be fine, but it's not going to be your best year ever. So if the goal is to have your best year ever, you've got to make yourself your best self ever. And when it comes to the seeds, remember this and make this sticky in your mind. The seeds don't care. The seeds don't care. In other words, what you plant starts to take root. Say that with me. The seeds don't care. The seeds don't care. Good, bad, mediocre, sloppy. The seeds don't care. Whatever you plant is going to sprout up, good, bad, or indifferent. So why don't more people grow into their full potential? You know, a lot of people make New Year's resolutions, and then some more serious-minded people set goals at the beginning of the year, but way too many people get to the end of each calendar year, and it's just a repeat. So why don't more people grow into their full potential? That question has kept me curious for 3 decades. Why is it that well-meaning, well-intentioned people end up so far away from the mark, so far away from what they were really trying to accomplish? Well, I've identified 4 traps. You can think of them as 4 enemies. You can think of them, maybe this will make them stick out to you, the 4 devils of regret. And they will keep you from experiencing your best year. They will hold you back from becoming the best that you can possibly become in 2025 unless you're aware of them. And for many of our 1% clients, awareness of these 4 traps, these 4 Ds, awareness of these elements has been a turning point, that once they became aware of them, it was like they were a different person and they were ready to blast off. And the same can be true of you. So if you're aware of these 4 Ds, you can preempt them and limit the damage they inflict. If you're not aware of them, they're going to keep you from creating and enjoying your best year ever. So let's go over these 4 enemies. I'll call them the 4 Ds of regret. And the first D is distraction. And this is a big one. There's short-term distraction where, maybe we are looking at our phones, or we're distracted with somebody that walks in our office or personal appointments, those kinds of things. Those are short-term distractions where our attention is dispersed in lots of directions, or the shiny object here. And that scattered attention, that fragmented attention, keeps us from concentrating long enough in a singular direction to transform ourselves, to get those great results, to do those things which will contribute to the best year we've ever had. So you have to have a distraction plan in place. And in addition to the short-term distractions that are common to almost all of us, the kind of distractions you would have in any given day, there's also the longer term distractions where you go for 6 months in one direction and then you make a significant change and that causes you to go in another direction. And then you go another 9 months in that direction and you change. So changing too often rather than staying the course is a form of distraction. So the first D is distraction. The second D is dispersion. And we've all experienced this as well, and we all have to be aware of it. Dispersion is when we spread ourselves too thin. Our mind is overcrowded with obligations and commitments and goals. We've just taken on too many projects at the same time. And when this happens, we have that sense of overwhelm, and we can get stressed out very easily, and we've divided ourselves amongst too many things that we don't have much power in any one given project or goal or opportunity. We're lesser of a person as far as how we can perform because we've diluted ourselves. Kind of like the difference between a pressure washer and an old-fashioned sprinkler. A pressure washer, a fire hose, very, very powerful. A sprinkler with the water gently going in multiple directions is not very powerful. So the first D is distraction, the second D is dispersion. The third D, and this one is really powerful in a negative direction, is called drift. And drift is when we gradually, over time, begin to accept standards that we never would have accepted earlier on. Drift is when we gradually, ever so gradually, move away from what we previously said was the main thing. And where do we see this? Well, first think of what drift might look like at the beach. I can remember growing up and being out in the ocean with some kind of float, and parents or grandparents were on the beach, and then all of a sudden from the ocean it looked like my parents had moved or something. In other words, I didn't feel like I was drifting, but I was drifting with the current down the beach, and of course my parents were fixed in one location. But that's the problem with drift, is we don't feel drift. Make sure that's in your notes. We don't feel drift. This shows up all the time, not only in business, but it shows up in relationships, with health. And there's a great line from Hemingway that puts it like this: gradually, then suddenly. In other words, there was no health problem, but something was lurking underneath the surface. Gradually, and then suddenly there was a big issue. Same thing financially, same thing on the relationship side. We have to overcome drift if we're going to enjoy our best year ever. The fourth D is delay. And this refers to hesitation, procrastination, postponement, stalling, perfectionism, waiting for a better time, second guessing ourselves over and over again, or just dragging our feet. Delay. And delay is often accompanied by the word tomorrow. I'll do this tomorrow. But make sure this is fixed for you. Tomorrow, are you listening to this? Tomorrow means never. Tomorrow means never. From a practical standpoint, from working with thousands of clients over the last 30 years, tomorrow means never. It's a now nice sounding word. I think people mean well when they say it. But by and large, if there's something significant, something important, and you say tomorrow I'm going to organize my business plan. That's probably not going to get done tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to love my spouse the way I ought to be doing it. Probably not going to happen. Tomorrow I'm going to start eating better. Probably not going to happen. Tomorrow means never. So now you know the work ahead of you for 2025 and what holds most people back. You have to know what success looks like to you, and you have to know what holds most people back. So you know what holds most people back now. It is distraction. It is dispersion, when you take on too much at the same time. It is drift, when you gradually move away from what you had previously considered to be the most important thing. And then there's delay, when you just stall, when you postpone, when you evade and avoid. So once you know these things, you can develop a plan to overcome them. So I encourage you to plant the right seeds, defend against the 4 Ds, and when you do this, you can finally enjoy your best year ever. And I believe you can do it. You already have all the resources, the encouragers, the processes, the system. This is your year. You're ready. Let me hand it back over to Kurt.